What's up, world? I'm Ryan Frayne, co-creative director here at Backflip, and joining me as I say always, but most of the time, John Shoemaker, other co-creative director. What's up, John?
Yo, hello.
What's the hibbity?
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that question.
These questions, these great, just mind-bending questions, are going to be coming constantly during this. So, for anyone who is looking at the title above, I believe I was able to change it as well as the image. Lynn was not able to jump on today. She has a sick kid, so they got to take her to the doctor or take him to the doctor. So we totally understand. We're sad we can't hang out with Lynn today. But since we have this standing happy hour, we thought we'd continue to drink and talk about stuff. So we're still here. You pretty happy about that, John?
I'm very happy.
So we briefly talked a little bit before about what we were going to talk about, but before we get to that, this is a happy hour. Are you drinking? I saw you had like a mug. What do you got?
I'm set up with your typical, like the whole desk has mostly drinks on it.
Nice.
So just have coffee from this morning, repping in my Wishin mug. Wishin, Wisconsin State Health Information Network. If you're a consumer, there's nothing you can do about this, but if you're a business, if you're a hospital, sign up. Then what we got here. This is the leftover smoothie that the kids rejected.
Oh,
It was made with almond butter, and they decided that made it, inedible.
yeah, it's not as good as peanut butter for most people, but I thought that was like a White Russian or something.
No. And then because I have that almond butter smoothie, I'm going to follow that up with the Urge Tracker.
Nice.
Peanut butter cup stout.
You're repping Carbon 4 real hard. I'm also repping Carbon 4. Whoa. Fantasy Factory, but check this out. Hazy. So this is in their variety pack. What is there? Hazy, Mosaic, and Smash or Crush or something, like a lime one.
Citron.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't think I tried that one.
Yeah. So all I've had this morning is eggs, and then now I'm drinking beer. So it's a good day. Dude, that torrential. Did you get rain over there? Because sometimes we get rain and you didn't. You don't?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, we got like torrential rain for like 1 minute. It was very intense. I looked outside and it was just kind of flying off the roof. And I was like, I think it's okay. And I checked and the gutters were okay. But for those 2 minutes, I thought we were going to drown.
Yep. No, it was good. It wasn't very, wasn't much of anything over here.
This is really good. I like hazies, and I do really like Fantasy Factory, but, I think Zach has mentioned it. I don't know if he said, like, if this is actually a version of Fantasy Factory or if it's just the hops, or I forget how it's related. Obviously, it's related in branding, but I do really like this hazy from Carbon 4. All right. So if you're drinking at home, let us know, and we'll send you stuff. We did send out coasters. Can you believe it?
I can believe it.
Good. We're having a scintillating discussion. Hannah made them.
I don't have a coaster
at the Badri.
I don't have my own coasters. I need coasters over here now.
I know. Hannah did say she had some extra, so we'll have to steal them from her, and then we're going to mass produce them from some swag company. So that should be pretty great. But if you are on, share what you're drinking. Love to see that and hear that. Participate, and you can get some free swag. We'll send you stuff. So, John, 15 minutes before this started, what did we decide to talk about today?
We decided to talk about our favorite tools of the trade, and then that was specified into software, because I was starting to think about other tools. And then it's like, so we can talk about some software today. I think I'm sure that I have answers for stuff that I like. It just, the first thing that came to my mind when you mentioned that was a flood of all the things that have been annoying me lately about software.
Things that haven't been working. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let's see. We kind of shared a list. So why don't you just kick us off? So we'll start off maybe a little bit more production focused with Studio Binder.
all right. So Studio Binder is a piece of software that we came upon a few years ago. There's tons of things that you can do in the software, but what we really use it for mostly is call sheets. And it's kind of funny because it's like way overkill for what you would need for call sheets. But the reason that we like it is because there you go. There's some behind the scenes view of some of the projects we have in there. The reason that we like it for call sheets is you can manage all of your contacts in a contact area. And then when you go in and create a call sheet for a shoot day, you can just select which people you need on the shoot, and you can set their call times. And then when you populate the schedule on a call sheet, everything just comes through. Basically, it makes a nice layout for you, a nicely designed call sheet, and you can add dynamic information like the address, the weather, parking areas that you want people to use, all that fun stuff. And then when you send out the call sheet, it actually will give you an area where you can see who has interacted, like who's viewed the call sheet. If they respond, they get a little green check mark. So you know who you need to follow up with. If you need to see who has seen it, who hasn't yet. So it's pretty slick in that way. Pretty slick, like I'm straight out of the 70s.
Yeah, I love it.
It's pretty nice to use for that. If you want to get more in depth, there's tons of stuff. You can put a script in it, and you can line the script, break out the scenes. You can create lists of props, lists of actors. All of that stuff is dynamic, so it all dynamically links into the call sheet. You can create your schedule based on like a strip board. These are all very like industry terms, so if anyone's watching because of our usual banter, this stuff might be things that you haven't heard about. But basically, it just kind of gives you the ability to do things of like a larger production team by yourself. There you go. So there's Ryan's creating a call sheet there.
In like 4 clicks, I added us and I had us here, and you kind of get the basic information. You can do shooting locations, but then schedule. That's always really nice for everyone to see.
And it just breaks up the contacts into different categories so that when people are looking, you can very quickly just see, okay, here's the client, here's the different crew members, here's the area, these are the talent. You can include information on the call sheet, like include people's phone numbers and things if, you're just kind of sharing information. So you could do all this stuff in a spreadsheet. You could
manually,
do it in email, whatever, but that can get messy. And then it's like, wait, where's that one piece of information that I need? It's just, so yeah, we've liked it. It has been cool to use those other features. I have used them on some bigger productions. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of positives for it, but my one kind of big negative right now is that it does not integrate with other tools like I expect most modern softwares to these days. So I can't, like, if I create a calendar and a schedule in there, I can't link that into another calendar system like a Google Calendar system. There's no hooks into systems that we use for task management and things, where I want to like create a task and be like, oh, let's have, so and so do this. And so that's the one downside to me right now. But otherwise, especially compared to, there's some industry, like some old filmmaking Hollywood industry standards out there, and they're all like Windows 95 software type stuff. So, it's quite advanced, really nice in comparison to those, but it's still got some stuff that could be better.
Yeah, I was going to say too, when we're looking and thinking about tools and this type of thing, it really comes down to repeatable processes. So back in the day, we just had a spreadsheet and we would populate the spreadsheet for a call sheet. And really the purpose of the call sheet is just to keep everyone informed of what's going on the day of a shoot, for instance. And, it's easy to duplicate a spreadsheet, but when you're constantly doing that and you constantly need to have contact information and repeatable information, it can be very useful to have that saved in a certain way that you can reuse it. So a tool like Studio Binder here allows us to save contacts, information, and reuse that and repurpose and, spin up a call sheet in like 1 minute and even send it off. And like John was saying, the kind of check-in features, like you get confirmations. Everyone has to click confirmation that they got their, there we go. Sorry. I had my audio boosted all the way, that they got their call sheet and they saw it, because schedule is so important on our shoot days. And I need everyone to know when we're trying to have a company move, or when we're breaking for lunch, or when we're shooting this scene or that scene.
I would say as well, if you're doing a multiple day production, like a film, short film or feature, whatever, anything where you have a multiple day production with the same crew coming back, for many days of shooting, this software is extremely useful there. It's a little bulky for like a one and done, small shoot for a little commercial project or a, quick corporate video, because it's
like when it's you, me, and Luke, we don't use a call sheet.
Yeah. But anything where, you've got the same people coming back, because then it's nice that you have all the project contacts in the project. But when you're just making one, even if it's not just the three of us, when you're just making one, you have to like go in and import each contact or make sure that they're in the system, even to just start going. So, but yeah, that's it's still pretty nice.
I think we wish too, and maybe the Studio Binder folk who are watching can reach out to us. I think there's some ways that we think we can improve it. Like editing a call sheet is kind of janky because you can't just edit and save. You have to like preview and exit, and it automatically saves. And so some of those paradigms are kind of confusing.
Yeah.
And then also just kind of how it thinks about your project can be kind of confusing. Like you can only have one primary script that plays into your strip boards and your call sheets.
Yeah.
You can have multiple scripts in here, but only one is like the master. So when we're shooting multiple scripts, we'd have to create multiple projects, which is annoying as opposed to just having one project, multiple scripts. And then you could pull any of those scripts into a strip board or a call sheet. And then I think and you might agree, John, I think we would use this a lot more if we could actually do that, because a lot of times with these bigger projects, we're doing multi-script,
Yep.
shoots.
I fully agree, because it's really, I don't know for sure, but it feels more like when people build softwares like this, they're thinking about um, film production. They're making them for film production. And, we do a little bit of that. We need all the same tools, but our projects are for corporate clients or whatever. And we just got done a couple weeks ago with a massive production, 4 shoot days, a prep day, lots of pre-production, tons of crew, talent, lots of things to juggle. But I had 12 scripts for that project. So I did not use the script tool. I did not use the strip board. I didn't use any of that stuff, because I'd have to like combine them all into one and then put it in that way, and then relabel things so that it's like they're broken out as like scenes. You can like shoehorn it in, but
Yeah, it'd be super janky.
then it's just more confusing because you're trying to do things that it's not really built for. But yeah, it's a lot of the stuff that we do in the corporate world, and this is probably similar for a lot of commercial companies. There are multiple scripts when we're shooting.
Right. All right. So that'll be Studio Binder for us. Let's see. Where do you want to go next? You want to go to Frame? It seems contextual.
Sure.
All right. Here, let me pull this up. Let's see. And if you have questions, do throw them in the chat. We can definitely
tell us what you use.
answer them. Oh my gosh, yeah. If you have better recommendations, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Present a tab.
The kids are crazy, by the way. This is amazing.
There we go. All right. Next up, we've got Frame. This is, I mean, I don't know if we're a little too indie, but Frame just got bought by Adobe, so go them. It reminds me of that. Is it Real Big Fish song? Sell Out? Sell Out with me, oh yeah. Sell Out. The record company's gonna give me lots of money and everything's gonna be.
If Adobe offers to buy our company, I'm selling it, just so you know.
Yeah, for like $1.6 billion or something. They just bought Frame.
Sell out.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, that's success, but I hope it doesn't ruin the app, because we had been doing, so Frame.io, let's see, maybe I could pull this up first. Frame.io is a, let's see, modern video workflow redefined. So for us, it's a review tool and kind of a management of deliverables in terms of finalizing footage and centralizing commentary. And before we used Frame, we tried Vimeo. What else did we do? I think we tried YouTube for a little while, but nothing really worked. Ooh, that's kind of a cool scroll feature. Nothing really worked until Vimeo allowed you to do reviews, and then Frame came along and just made it so much more easy, where our editors just upload stuff and we get notifications, and then we can jump in and comment on any device. And I'll show you that. It's been fantastic for us. I think it's been fantastic for our clients. So we can take a look at, let's see, let's go into the film. Here we go. Let's see. Different versions of the human trafficking films that we've made. Let's go version 9 maybe. So you got a player here. You can scrub. You can actually use keyboard shortcuts, which is really great. And then let's see, See if I can just start typing. Whoops. You just start typing a comment. And you see in the timeline, you get a little indicator there, and then you get a comment over here. So you can actually click around, and it takes you right to where those comments are. Frame also integrates with DaVinci, Premiere, Final Cut. So you can actually have this window in your edit, which is really freaking cool. Oh, did I lose you? I lost your audio. There you go.
I've got a button on the microphone that is convenient, and then I forget that I have it turned off. When you have that LinkedIn tied into the software, I think it actually, if you have that window up, it'll push these like comments into the software. So like if you're doing a lot of stuff and like the editors are staying in the software a lot, like they can actually see a comment come in. And I think they can like click on the comment, it'll take them to that spot on the timeline. It's like a lot of pretty cool things when it's working.
Yeah. Well, and now that Adobe bought them, there's going to be greater integration, I'm sure, with Premiere, but they've also promised to keep the DaVinci and Final Cut integration updated. So that's really cool. Yeah, so this, it also helps us keep everything very straight. You can have a status, right? So needs review, in progress, approved. We use that sometimes. Let's see. And this interface is so nice. And where Studio Binder was clunky, Frame is not. So it's got folders. You can auto upload to folders. You can transfer from Google, Dropbox. Let's see. Here's some 15s and 30s we've been doing, and you can see approved, 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 approved. So it's got great mechanisms to let you know when something is all good. And if it's not, you can set needs review or something like that. Another cool thing is this version that you can do. So you upload them and then version them, and we can see that there's differences there. And then you can also, sorry, where's the split screen? S. I just know S key. So you can play the previous one and the current one, and you can compare. So now you can kind of see some changes that we made from the first to the second. You can switch which audio you want to hear in case you're working on audio. It's cool. What other features do you love, John?
I don't use it a ton, but you can get a little brush tool and you can circle something like in a shot when you're working on, because sometimes there's some specific thing that you need to point out to your editor and just say, hey, I see a thing right here. Can we do something with that? Is that a whatever, if it's a graphic or, or even if it's like color correction, you're like, hey, this right here, can we do a little brightening or do a little tweak on that? That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I use that a lot.
It's also just nice to be able to, just be watching it and then just start typing. Like, cause I think there's other systems we've tried to use in the past where people are like taking notes over somewhere else. So then you're like going in, you're trying to hit pause, to get so that you're stopped while you're typing. This one, when you just start, I think you have to have the cursor in the box, but when you just start typing, it will pause it.
Yep. And then as soon as you send it, it resumes, and then you can start typing. Oops. Normally you can start typing again.
Yep.
So
That's pretty cool. And then you can actually, it's probably not ideal, but you can let people download from there.
mhm.
So when you share out to a client, there's a couple different options for whether you're sharing the ability for them to download. You can have them download the original or some proxy version. You can set a password. You can set an expiration date for that link, if you want to share it. But then it's just nice because then there's like less stuff to try to manage.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah. I think for some small things, we'll use the download in here. Otherwise, we'll use Drive, Google Drive, just because we have unlimited space.
yeah.
You'll notice in here too, you've used 92% of your plan. Like we're constantly there, and I'm constantly getting upgrades and paying more. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's a quick overview of Frame. What do you want to go to next?
If let's see, we could go.
I want to save Notion for last.
Yeah. So let's.
It's like my baby.
I mean, I can talk about either. Dialpad's kind of cool to talk about as something that's not totally industry. Could probably go a little quick on it, but
yeah, let's do it.
So Dialpad is another thing that we use. And there might be some people that don't need this or think that it's not necessary. I think it's interesting as a small business thinking about what do you do with your phone. Like to me, it's always been like the last thing that I think about. It always has been, like in the history of our business, is just like, oh yeah, and I guess we should have like a phone number or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
we're not big enough to have some like big complicated corporate industry phone system. But we are big enough that it can't just be all of our personal numbers. I mean, that does get used a lot, people
Yeah.
call our personal numbers all the time. But way back when, we used to use or at least some of us did, but we had a Google Voice, and you could claim your own phone number, and then there were a couple features that we're able to do there. So we claimed a number for the business, and then I think we claimed some other ones for ourselves. And then Dialpad came along. I think they actually came out of Google Voice. I think there were some old.
Yeah,
Google...
I think it was the founders of Google Voice split out to create Dialpad. Yeah.
So those founders went along and created Dialpad. And basically it's just like it's VoIP, right?
Yep.
And it gives you this virtual, full featured call center sort of thing. So we can have our team. Looks like I disappeared. I'll continue talking and we'll see if he he shows back up. So we can have our whole team. We can have departments. We can there he is.
I tried to share my Dialpad screen and then everything blew up.
So we can have departments. We can designate operators who answer the phone line. Yeah, Dialpad's not happy with Ryan every time he's trying to share. They're like, no, you can't share, apparently. So the nice thing is when people call the main line at Backflip, we can have that push out to operators. So like when somebody calls Backflip, they are ringing my phone, they're ringing Ryan's phone, and they're ringing Scott's phone, wherever we are. Like Ryan and I are both working from home today, respective homes. So, but if somebody calls the office number, like my phone's ringing. so I can pick that up wherever I am. And then I can even, if I pick that up and they want to talk to somebody else, I can transfer them to a phone. So it does work with some physical desk phones that we have in the office. Or if anybody else in the office has it set up on their phone, I can, send it over to Hannah, and then she could pick up that phone on her desk. She could pick it up on her computer, or she could pick it up on her cell phone if you got it connected there.
Yeah, wherever you are. And I think that was one of the big reasons we switched to it. Like Google Voice kind of worked, but there was a delay when you're talking on it, as there can be with VoIP, and it was just too annoying of a delay. And we found the guys who created Google Voice created. It wasn't actually Dialpad. What was it first? It was something else. And at the first, we looked at it and we're like, it's not that different. We're not going to switch over to it. But then we switched over to it, and immediately they rebranded as Dialpad. And you can kind of just tell from their branding here, they take a lot of care in what they do, and they do it really, really well. So I occasionally look at competitor VoIP products, and for what we do, it seems like Dialpad is just, by and large, way ahead of the game. Like here, any device, anywhere, any mode. Like I've talked to people through my computer, through my phone, my cell phone, through my desk phone, through a tablet, and no one really knows the difference of, what I'm talking through, which is really cool. And I've switched. Like I'll get a phone call when I'm walking around the office on my cell. I sit down at my desk and I just take it over with my desk phone, etc. So I think that's why I like Dialpad a lot, is because it's just so ubiquitous. It's a ubiquitous experience across all your devices wherever you are.
Yeah. And it has some smart features too. I probably don't have all of them turned on or working the right way, but like right now, Dialpad actually knows that I'm in a meeting. Like it knows on the calendar that I have this podcast on my calendar. And so it's connected to my Google Calendar. And so I think, I don't know for sure, I've definitely had things ring before, but I think it would do like a do not disturb style ring where it would just ring, be silent or whatever, and notify me that there's a call coming in.
Yeah. And talking about smart features, it's AI enabled. So Dialpad works great for small companies like us, but they also work for call centers, and they do automatic transcripts of your calls live. So when I'm on the phone, it's transcribing our conversation, and it actually can create to-dos. It can create little notes. If you say, all right, here's the action items. Here's what I'm going to do. It's smart enough to know that and then say, okay, here's the 5 things you said you were going to do on that phone call, which is really, really cool and a little creepy if you don't like that sort of thing. But I think it's so cool.
I actually used the feature on some call a little while back, and I can't remember what it was for sure, but I was looking for some information that I was like, shoot, I don't remember if I took that down. And I was able to go through the transcript and try to, it had some areas where it was like, here's the different things that were kind of talked about. And yeah.
Also, maybe I need to update my app, because my app does not look as good as this right here. Let's see. Maybe that's the Android version. That's a cool thing that it does. So Android's probably had this for a while, but now Dialpad will actually ring through my normal phone. And if I call someone, I can choose to either use the regular phone line or my Dialpad phone line. So it's now very integrated into iOS in a way that I'm sure it was integrated into Android forever ago.
I think I always have it ring my phone because the data can be a little unreliable. You know, like if you're somewhere, you always make a phone call, but like can't always get like a secure enough data connection to, you know, basically if you've ever tried to do like a video chat like on the road, I mean, you know, the
Right.
problem with doing it through data. So
yeah, it's also got so Uber Conference they bought, so now it's got conferencing features which we don't actually use because we have Google Meet, but that's pretty cool. Like here, conferencing and stuff. It now has like Slack like features. I don't know if anyone's actually used it. Let's see. Okay, so you jumped in. I created a general channel, and I'm like, no one probably knows about this, and you jumped in yesterday and said, hey, I saw it. But it's like a chat system as well. You know, I feel like they're kind of taking over the world, and I'm okay with it.
you know, this conversation about software is interesting because I don't have like a summary idea of this thought yet, but there's so much stuff out there right now. It can be a little overwhelming and a little mind-boggling because every piece of software comes out, they have like, okay, this is what we do best, and then they start adding features to become everything. In a way, I like that. I wish that there was one thing to just be like, just perfect integration and it just all the things that I need works, you know. That's a little unreasonable because it's so specific to every company.
Right.
But it starts to like break my brain then when it's like, you know, they talk about, this is a completely tangent point, but like there's business leaders that write books about decision fatigue. And then people like, you know, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Obama, you know, they all have these capsule wardrobes where it's like, I just wear the same thing all the time. That way it takes one more decision out of my day, so I don't have to think about that. Yet these softwares that we're using are creating more decisions. Like, how do I contact that person? Shoot, should I, you know, do a Google Meet? Should I use Dialpad and use the conference feature there? Should I chat with them through Dialpad? You know, it's like, okay, that's kind of cool, but it's also kind of like you're overwhelming me with all these things.
Right. Right. Well, and that's a good point. And we've actually created a document in our office kind of training stuff. So when new hires come on, and it talks about the hierarchy of communication and how you should communicate depending on your needs. So if you need something right now, the best is just to call someone or text someone. If you can wait a little bit, you know, and this is on our team, then you could Slack them. You could send them a message and then they'll get back to you. If you need to include people outside the organization, well, then email can be very good if we don't have a Basecamp project, which might be a good segue into our next tool.
Yeah. Could be. Which one are we talking about? Because we mentioned a couple in there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. There we go. Let's see. I think I've got it.
Yeah, so I have a
yeah, you can keep talking.
I have a love-hate relationship with Basecamp. Probably more love, I guess. But so Basecamp used as our project management tool, a place to kind of keep everything all together, keep everything organized. We can interact with clients through it by adding them into the sort of client portion of each project. And then when we send a message on the message board of a project, that will hit people in their email inbox. So like sometimes clients want to be in the software and looking around and seeing what's there, and sometimes they don't want to. So that's kind of nice that it can hit them in their email. If they just hit reply from their email inbox, it will come right back in to Basecamp as the next, you know, reply in that message thread. So that's kind of a cool feature. There's areas to put documents and files. There's a chat area for real-time, kind of quick back and forth chat discussion. What else? There's a calendar that is horrendous, but there's a calendar.
It's one of those things that doesn't do exactly what we need it to, or even remotely, and so it's just not useful.
I've never seen a calendar tool like that's that ridiculous in any other software.
That handicapped, I agree.
It's not great. Maybe they'll fix it. They're working on the next version of the software.
Yeah, that's right. Also, I pulled this up too because this is in Backflip, how we provide customer service. So this is a document about it. But then we've got this section: use the right tool for the right job. Phone, text message, Slack, Basecamp, email. One thing that Basecamp does really, really well is it centralizes communication because, excuse me, I don't know how many times people think it's okay just to send 5 different emails about the same event or same thing, and how confusing that gets. I don't know if anyone at home experiences that, but for me, it's the worst. And I'm like, can you just send me one communication with all the details instead of 5? And that's largely what we use Basecamp for as well. So there's always one place. We're not tracking down emails. Like the other day, I got a quote. Jeff and I were in a call for server hardware, and they sent Jeff the quote, even though I've been the one who's been the main contact for several contacts and set up the meeting. For whatever reason, they sent it to Jeff. And a week later, I'm like, hey guys, can I get that thing? And Jeff's like, oh, sorry. They only sent it to me. And I assume they sent it to both of us. You know, it's like, oh, well, people, don't use email well, make mistakes. It probably wasn't intentional to exclude the decision maker. But with something like Basecamp, you post it in here, everybody gets the alert, everybody sees it. You're not trying to track down and figure out which email chain it's in.
Yeah. It's got its downsides like anything. I mean, it only works as well as people use the tool and try to, and there's different ways that people work. So like, when you create a message about some topic, you start creating a thread, and then people talk about that in that thread. But then if somebody starts talking about something else, it's just a work philosophy thing. Like, well, really that should go into a new thread, create a new topic, and then that's where it can get, that's the downside, is that, well, things can get confusing. Right. People can start, and then you're in the same place. You're like, where was that thing that they talked about? Whatever.
Yeah. People are still the problem. So if we just get rid of people and just get those Tesla robots.
Yeah. Right.
I think we'll be fine. Right.
But it is a nice place. That's where our hub for like task, not public, what's the word, but company-wide, like task management on an individual basis. Everybody's using their own task management system. They're writing it in a plan software that you'll talk about in a little bit. But if there's something public, or sometimes like tasks that are like shared between us and our clients, that's a way that we'll put them in. Like, this thing needs to get done, and then I'll tag myself and my client, because we're both working on aspects of that or something. It's just kind of a good public place for, like, we need to see that these items are getting done.
Yep. Yeah. And it's one of those things where we make the distinction, the software doesn't, where Basecamp is a great place too to manage to-dos with the client. So if there's to-dos for the client, or there's to-dos that are relevant that the client should see, that works really well. But even so, we probably use that, I don't know, once every 10 projects. So not super, not a huge use there, but it's a functionality that we do have. So we got about 13 minutes left. We'll end at 1. Great. Thanks, Windows, for popping up some screen. I don't know what this is. Now it's opening Edge browser. Great. Thank you, Windows. All right. So next up is one of my current favorites, and I'm still very much enjoying it. And I've been slowly getting the team into this. And this is Notion. So let me pull this up. This is a note-taking tool, kind of a database tool, organization tool that you can use to kind of organize information however you want, which is really cool. So at the very least, you can just start typing a note. This is a note. So Evernote or Notes or any of those tools, it can do that. But where it becomes really powerful is its interoperability and kind of database system. So you see, I've got a calendar here, right? So this is a quick look for me. Okay, we just were in Oklahoma last week. Next week I've got, actually, and this is gone. So this got moved, so I can delete that. But then Tuesday we've got a shoot. This looks like a calendar, but really it's just a database with information. And then there's a calendar view. And I can pull this calendar view wherever I want. I can pull it here, or like these to-dos. So backflip assigned tasks. John was talking about how we manage tasks. Let me make sure we can see that. Yeah. So we created this task table over here, and you can add a task with a person, a date, priority, et cetera, et cetera. You can actually make whatever parameters you want. And then you can pull this information anywhere. So in my case, I pull it to this backflip homepage that I created. And this shows me my backflip tasks. And I have it filtered, assigned to me, and is not checked. So it's not done. Done is not checked. So these are my outstanding backflip tasks. And right now, Max uses this to tell me when I have reviews that I need to review with him. Over here are notes that I've created recently. And here's docs that I've created recently over here, kind of in our backflip area where we have clients, tasks, docs. And again, it looks like a table, but you can pull this data out in any way that you want and create really nice little views into all your notes. So yeah, you can see that. Let's see. Today, home. This is kind of like my personal note area. So it looks kind of similar to backflip, but it's just got some different information. So this is backflip. Here's home. Here's a bunch of pages that I use regularly. It's got weather, movies to watch, books to read, pull a little comic in there through my Michigan DNR fishing license. So you can interconnect everything, and then it's all searchable super easily. So fishing, this will pull up all the things that I've written about for fishing. So Michigan DNR fishing license, camping 2021. And this tool is such a great documentation tool that I think it's going to take over a lot of kind of our documenting functionality that we do in Google Drive and Basecamp and other places that you're always trying to remember, well, where was that? Is that in Drive? Is that in Basecamp? Is that in email somewhere? We'll just create a doc in here, like drone rates, everyone can pull that up. Color grading, notes on color grading and how we do that type of thing. So that was a huge torrent of water from the fire hose. John, you've been starting to use this over like the last month. What's kind of been your experience?
It's really nice.
I hear a big old booty coming.
It's not it's not a but. It's okay. So the backstory, what this is kind of replacing, at least the first replacement it was making was replacing Trello. So Trello is like another kind of task management software, and you can get a couple different views, but their main one is a Kanban board view. So you just move cards down a list and kind of there's the view that we're talking about.
Yeah,
And
I've spent about 10 minutes trying to do it with some projects, but yeah.
So the value that so there were limitations in Trello, and so that's why moving this way is a good move. The challenge is how complex it is. There's so much that you can do in Notion that I think that the challenge is just being in the middle of a lot of projects and a lot of work. It's hard to be able to have the time to figure out how to use it. There's a lot there, and you've mentioned there's great tutorials. It's well, that sounds cool. I need to get into those, spend time with them to figure out how to do anything. So sometimes there is a value in the limitation. Sometimes there's a value in the only thing that I can do with Trello is make a card and move it over and archive it, and that can be valuable sometimes. This clearly has a lot of potential. It's going to be really good, but I'm also another comparison or another thought that I have is my wife loves this this one author, Dana White, has some stuff about organizing and decluttering, but she talks about being she wrote her book from the perspective of somebody who's not organized. She's the problem with all these organization books is that they're all written by super organized people. So then if you're somebody who is not that just naturally, then it's here, just do these things, and that sounds great, but my mind doesn't even work that way. So you're telling me I just have to create a whole system for myself and then follow it, and then it'll be great. It's so that's one of the struggles that I'm running into right now. I'm trying to get myself using it more. I'm replacing Evernote with Notion. So, imported my note taking and notes from Evernote into Notion. Working on.
Did I lose you? There we go. I got you back.
Oh, I saw the thing. So yeah, replacing Trello is what I use for my personal task management. Those are just the two things I'm doing with it right now, and I need to keep working on figuring out how to I don't come from a web background. I can play around and pretend that I know what I'm doing with websites pretty well, but I don't have the everything's a database mindset. That takes a little something to get yourself understand the philosophy of that.
Yep, so. Absolutely. This is fun too. You can change different areas to just help you kind of view things. But one of the really cool things, like you said, web development and database mindset, is that there's also this this functionality that you can create a page and then share it with someone, and they can actually just see it on the web like it's a web page. So you could create documentation. We started doing this for the Ho Chunk shoot, but I could send this to someone and they could kind of see some of these things, as a very nice page that is also responsive, which is really cool. But yeah, I think you're right. There can be a big learning curve, and not thinking in the mindset or kind of the way that Notion thinks can be very, like an uphill battle. Also, this is great.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see. All right, so we got like 5 people watching now. Let us know your questions, because otherwise we'll wrap up here. I'm a huge fan of Notion because of what it allows you to do, but also the simplicity. But in between, just like John's saying, it can be daunting to try to get, even to here. Like I've spent months reusing and updating and changing this so that it works really well for me.
There's
that takes some time.
a perfect segue into a top level thought on this whole discussion, which is that anything that you're using still requires some like system on a top level. Like, when do I use this? When do I use this? How do I take this piece of information that comes in, and where do I put that? How do I make sure that it's shared with everybody? Where am I looking when I'm, in the business and I'm looking for these documents or calendar information or whatever?
Mhm.
It all still requires some system, and that can be easy to forget, because I think I've always talked a lot about how the first people ever, the first employee other than us in our company was a producer, project manager type.
Mhm.
Because we're like, yeah, I need somebody who's just like
Help.
systems, like put
Yeah.
the system together. So it's you can't just replace that role with like a piece of software. Be like, okay,
Right.
make this run, make everything run smoothly. It's still, you still have to know how you want to use it, and then that's just gonna give you some shortcuts to make things easier, so you don't have to do everything by hand or manually.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's still the human. You still need a brain behind this stuff, and
Until
it's
Elon Musk
different.
takes over.
Yeah, until those little Tesla robots take over, which you can run faster than, and you can probably overpower, I think. So, all right, that's what we got. It's 1:00, a crisp 1:00. My hazy's out, so I think it's time to end this happy hour. Any closing thoughts aside from? I mean, those are some great closing thoughts.
Yeah, just keep on keeping on. Somebody out there in the world, make a better software with all the things that I want it to be. That's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can just email him at john@letsbackflip.com
Just
and
send me
get
an
his
email.
feedback.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Awesome. Well, all of you who are watching or just jumping on now, thank you for joining us. Thank you for jumping in. I don't know if you can like follow, subscribe, do the things that you hear in all the videos, but you should definitely tune in every week. We do this unless we're traveling. We bring on really interesting guests. We're sad that Lynn was not able to make it today, but we totally understand. Family comes first. We're excited because we're going to get you on hopefully sooner rather than later. And we've got other guests coming up. Matthew Pearson, Diocese of Madison seminarian. We've got Father Tate. He works for the, what is it, CDF? The it's like the the something of the doctrine of the faith.
Sounds
I
right.
don't know, something. He works in Rome. He's legit. Actually, I was hearing this on a podcast the other day. The CDF is the kind of modern version of the Inquisition. And if you think the Inquisition was just about torturing people, you should listen to Trent Horn's episode from like a month ago on the Inquisition and kind of the truths about it. So that's really fun. But we're having Father Tate on in a few weeks, and we've got the podcast going. So there should be another episode up tomorrow. Subscribe to that, do all the things, and hang out and just have a good time with us, because I think together we can create something better. We're better together when we share this information than when we hide it and hoard it. So That's why we're happy to share all this information for free. It just costs your time. All right. That's what we got. Thanks, John. You may have frozen for me. There you are. You're on.
No, I'm just sitting perfectly still.
During my monologue, my evil monologue.
Listening intently.
Yeah. That's what we got. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.